Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a story for you that'll make you think twice the next time you're walking along a beautiful, empty shoreline. It's a story about how the most idyllic places can hide the deepest, darkest secrets. So grab your headphones, turn down the lights, and let's dive in. Our story starts with Liam, a guy who, like many of us, just needed a break from the city. The constant noise, the pressure, the deadlines, it was all getting to be too much. He booked a last-minute trip to a remote coastal town he'd found online, a place called Stillwater Cove. The photos showed pristine, empty beaches and charming little cottages. It was exactly what he needed: solitude and the sound of the ocean. He arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. The air was thick with the smell of salt and something else. Something floral and strangely sweet. The town was even smaller than he'd imagined. A single main street with a general store, a tiny diner, and a post office. It was quiet. A little too quiet, maybe. His rental cottage was right on the edge of the beach. A quaint little blue house with a porch overlooking the endless expanse of water. It was perfect, that first evening, as the sun began to set. Painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Liam went for a walk along the shore. The sand was soft under his feet, and the only sounds were the rhythmic crash of waves and the distant cry of gulls. He felt the stress of the city melting away with each step. He walked for what felt like miles, completely lost in the moment. That's when he first saw them, little piles of seashells arranged in perfect, intricate spirals. They were beautiful, almost like tiny works of art left on the sand. He saw one, then another, and another, all spaced an almost equal distance apart. He thought it was charming. Maybe some local kids had a game they played, or a local artist was leaving their mark. He took a few pictures, smiled to himself, and headed back to the cottage as darkness fell. The next day, Liam decided to explore further down the coast. He packed a small lunch and set off, determined to find the end of the beach. The sun was warm, the sky a brilliant blue. After an hour of walking, he rounded a rocky outcrop and found a secluded little bay. Then there, in the center of the bay, was the largest spiral he had seen yet. It was massive, at least 10 feet in diameter, made not just of shells, but of smooth, gray stones and pieces of driftwood, all arranged with an unnerving precision. It was impressive, but something about it felt off. It wasn't just art. It felt like a marker, like it was pointing to something, or maybe warning against him. As he stood there, staring at the spiral, a cold breeze swept through the bay, making the hairs on his arms stand up even in the midday sun. He suddenly felt like he was being watched. He quickly scanned the cliffs surrounding the bay, but saw nothing. Shaking off the uneasy feeling, he told himself he was just letting the isolation get to him. He ate his lunch quickly and started the long walk back, making sure to stay closer to the water's edge this time. Back in town that evening, he stopped at the diner for a burger. The place was nearly empty, save for an old fisherman nursing a coffee at the counter. Liam, feeling a bit lonely and still unsettled by the giant spiral, decided to strike up a conversation. "Beautiful beaches you've got here," he started. The old man just grunted. "Saw some interesting shell patterns down the coast," Liam continued. "These big spirals. Is that a local tradition or something?" The fisherman finally looked at him. His eyes were pale and cloudy, and his face was a roadmap of wrinkles. He leaned in a little, his voice a low, raspy whisper. "You stay away from those spirals, boy. They ain't for you." He then looked away, took a sip of his coffee, and said nothing more. The finality in his tone was chilling. Liam paid for his meal and left, the old man's warning echoing in his ears. That night, Liam couldn't sleep. The sound of the waves, which had been so soothing before, now sounded menacing. Every crash felt like a footstep outside his door. He kept thinking about the spirals. What did the old man mean? Found himself staring out the window at the dark, moonlit beach, and then he saw it. Figure, far down the shore, hunched over near the waterline. It was too dark to make out any details, but they were moving slowly, methodically. They would bend down, place something on the sand, take a few steps, and repeat the process. They were making a spiral. A jolt of fear and curiosity shot through Liam, who would be out there in the middle of the night. Against his better judgment, he quietly slipped out of the cottage and started walking towards the figure, using the shadows of the low dunes for cover. As he got closer, he could hear a sound carried on the wind, a soft melodic humming. It was a beautiful yet deeply unsettling tune. He crept closer, his heart pounding in his chest. He was maybe 50 yards away when the figure suddenly stood up straight and turned, as if they knew he was there all along.
It was a woman.
She was wearing a simple light-colored dress that fluttered in the breeze. Even from a distance in the pale moonlight, he could tell she was beautiful. She just stood there, staring in his direction. Liam froze, hidden in the shadows. He felt a strange pull, a desire to step out onto the sand, to walk towards her. The humming grew a little louder, a little more hypnotic. He had to fight the urge with everything he had. The old fisherman's words came back to him, "They ain't for you." He slowly, carefully began to back away, never taking his eyes off the woman. She didn't move. She just watched him retreat, her humming continuing its haunting melody across the beach. Liam didn't stop until he was safely inside the cottage with the door locked and bolted. He didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, sleep-deprived and on edge, Liam knew he had to leave. The solitude he'd craved had turned into a terrifying isolation. He packed his bags in a frenzy, throwing everything into his car. He didn't even bother to look at the beach, just wanted to get away from Stillwater Cove and its secrets. As he drove down the town's single main street, he saw the old fisherman standing outside the general store. The old man watched his car pass and gave him a slow, deliberate nod. It wasn't a friendly gesture. It was a nod of understanding, of shared knowledge of the danger that lurked on those beautiful shores. Liam didn't slow down until Stillwater Cove was a distant memory in his rearview mirror. He never went back, and he never told anyone the full story of what happened. Who was that woman on the beach? What were the spirals for? Were they invitations? Warnings? Or were they traps? Beautiful lures set by something ancient and hungry that lived in the deep, dark water. He didn't know, and he never wanted to find out. Sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, he swears he can still hear that faint, melodic humming on the edge of his hearing. A chilling reminder that some of the most beautiful places in the world hold the darkest secrets. And that when you go looking for solitude, you might just find something else waiting for you in the dark. What do you guys think? Have you ever had a creepy experience on an empty beach? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story and want more creepy content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.